Judgment in the appeal Cukurova Finance against Alfa Telecom Turkey Limited.
Lord Mance will give the judgment.
This is an appeal from the Court of Appeal of the British Virgin Islands. It is a sequel to two previous advices of the Board given on 5th May 2009 and 30th January 2013, 2009 UKPC 19 and 2013 UKPC 2. The case arises from a loan of $1.352 billion made on 28 September 2005 by Alfa Telecom Turkey Limited, ATT, to Cukurova Finance International Limited, CFI. The loan was secured on shares giving control of Turkcell, Turkey's largest mobile telephone company. The shares belong to CFI and its associated company, Cukurova Telecom Holdings Limited, CTH. The loan carried interest at an annual rate of 8% over LIBOR, increasing to 11.5% over LIBOR in case of an event of default. By April 2007, CFI was intending to refinance its borrowing. ATT knew that CFI was close to doing this. AT was concerned about and aimed to avoid this, since its primary interest was with the shares not as security, but for the control over Turkcell, which they supplied. On 16 April 2007, ATT claimed that there had been events of default and that the whole outstanding loan was immediately repayable with interest. The Board, in its judgment of 30th January 2013, has found that there had been at least one such event of default. 9 days later, on 25th April 2007, repayment not having been made, ATT appropriated the shares in satisfaction of the outstanding debt. The Board had, in its judgment of 5th May 2009, held that it was entitled to do this if there was an event of default. Within 1 month later, CFI had completed its financing arrangements, and on 25th May 2007, it tendered a sum which both parties at that time took as equating with the total outstanding sum due, including default interest, apart from the appropriation. Neither side noticed until 2013 that the amount tendered was actually 1 day's interest short, and this would have been corrected had it been observed at the time. The Board holds that it is now too late for the shortfall to be relevant or relied upon as a reason why the tender was insufficient. ATT refused to accept the tender until 25th May 2010, in other words, for 3 years. CFI kept the amount tendered of $1.5 billion in an interest-earning escrow account, the NAM-RUN account, at a cost of approximately $350 million. The interest earned was only some $77 million and was effectively cancelled out by fees and expenses. In its advice of 30th January 2013, the Board held that CFI and CTH were entitled to relief against the appropriation or forfeiture of their shares on conditions to be decided. Having now heard further submissions, the Board determines those conditions. The Board's advice to Her Majesty is that CTH and CFI be permitted to recover the shares on the conditions that they pay to ATT within 60 days the redemption sum of $1,564,689,492.62 plus further interest thereon accruing at the rate of 8% per annum above LIBOR between the date of the order giving effect to this judgment and the date of payment. The sum of $1,564,689,492.62 is made up of the outstanding loan, that is $1.35 billion on 25th November 2006, plus contractual interest down to 17th April 2007, plus interest at the default rate of LIBOR plus 11.5% per annum from 17th April 2007 to 25th May 2007, plus interest on the total of those two from 26 May 2010 to 1st March 2013 at LIBOR plus 8% per annum compounded annually, plus interest on the totals of the above, minus a payment made on account on the 1st March 2013, to which I will come, at LIBOR plus 8% per annum, from 2nd of March 2013 to the date of the order recording this judgment, plus some $3 million, the equivalent to £2 million on account of the costs of this litigation, minus the sum which I mentioned of some $328,956,533, the amount of a CTH dividend authorised in favour of CFI and already paid on account to ATT on the 1st of March 2013. Looking at that computation, it will be apparent that interest has not been included for the 3-year period of the NAMRA account from the 25th May 2007 to 25th of May 2010. In addition, but not as a condition of recovery of the shares, CTH and CFI should pay ATT's further costs over and above the amount of about £2 million already mentioned on the standard basis to be assessed if not agreed. The board arrives at these conclusions for different reasons. The majority, in a judgment given by myself, with which Lord Kerr and Lord Clark agree, considers that equity in setting conditions for relief against forfeiture can and should, in its discretion, respond by a special order in exceptional circumstances. Here, exceptional circumstances existed because ATT, as chargee, appropriated the shares in order to forestall a repayment which it knew was about to be tendered, and which was tendered, and when tendered was rejected, with the monies tendered being thereafter held for 3 years in the NAMRA deposit account. The running of interest should in such circumstances be suspended, consequent on the rejection of the tender during the period when the loan monies were kept unused in the NAMRA account. The minority, Lord Newberger and Lord Sumption, consider that equity's discretion is limited to granting CFI and CFI further time to perform the terms of the loan contract late, or imposing further conditions on CFI and CTH, but that when the conditions for relief so imposed are met, the effect will be not only that the loan contract is revived and performed, but also that the tender will fall to be treated as having been validly made and as suspending the running of interest during the period of the NAMRA account. Both the majority and the minority agree that subsequent to the tender, the cause of the loan remaining outstanding must be treated as ATT's failure to accept the tender rather than any default by CFI, and so that interest must run from 25th May 2010, as I've stated, at the ordinary rate of 8% per annum over LIBOR rather than at the default rate of 11.5% over LIBOR.